Hello and welcome everyone to today's News Tonight, the weeknight news show where we're joined by special guests and our lovely patrons to discuss the day's gaming news. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by Ash Paulson and Steve Bowling for our premiere episode. So let's see what's on the docket tonight. But before we begin, we actually have a sponsor for this episode. Some of you may have heard of the YouTube channel Game Explain, and they have this to say. Wishing you guys the best of luck on your new adventure from all of us at Game Explain. Stunt Race FX forever. And what a way to have a first sponsor. Who that came from.
Yeah, exactly, I wonder who wrote Stunt Race
that. I don't know who wrote that. You heard it here. You heard it here first, folks. Stunt Race FX coming to Switch.
I love it.
As a sequel.
Yeah.
And you know it's already
thanks for that copy, Tris.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And we're all of course over here very appreciative of our friends at Game Explain and thank you for the support, you guys.
Come on, we all know that was Tom who's all the big Stunt Race FX fan.
Obviously.
Come on.
No, I think it was Joey. Yeah.
Thank you to all of you over at Game Explain, but let's actually dive into the news. And the first bit we have tonight is Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Returnal, and Gran Turismo 7 release dates have been narrowed down to the first half of 2021 in a new PS5 ad, while Horizon Forbidden West has been clarified for the second half of 2021. So we're already getting a clearer idea of what to expect from the PS5 lineup in 2021. And yeah, I guess right off the bat, how are we feeling about this lineup?
Oh, let's go.
I love it. I mean, Rift Apart in the first half of 2021. I mean, I want Horizon Forbidden West. That's like my big golden goose for the PS5. But just knowing that it's coming and it's going to be here in 2021 unless it gets delayed, I'm all in, man. I'm excited. And of course, Derek, I know you with Rift Apart. You are so hyped.
Oh, you know it. I mean, the moment Rift Apart comes out, that's when I'm getting a PS5. That is my system seller. Like, yeah, Miles Morales looks good. Yeah, Demon Souls is pretty cool. But my big thing is Ratchet & Clank, and I have been replaying the series, got through the first two games so far. It is still reminding me why I love it so much. I haven't even got to the really good stuff yet. It's just seeing the series evolve. And I still think Rift Apart is the biggest showcase for the PS5. That instantaneous loading between the different levels and going from place to place, that is incredibly impressive and probably shows off the SSD better than any other game I've seen up to this point.
I thought that too until I played the PS5. And I mean, I hate to be that guy.
No, be that guy.
Please do.
Miles Morales loads instant. It's like Super NES fast, and that to me is I'm mind blown even now. Every time I hit continue and it just instantly goes right into gameplay, I'm like, how are you doing this? And then Astro's Playroom does a very similar thing to Rift Apart, where you have 4 levels and each one opens basically a rift and you walk into it and then Astro just shoots through the rift into the level. And I was like, damn, this is really impressive. I mean, I am still super crazy hyped for Rift Apart. I think it looks incredible, but I used to think that was the showcase, and now I'm thinking this is just every first party game. They're making sure to show off these amazingly fast speeds in every single first party effort, and I'm dumbfounded by how well optimized these games are. So, I mean, not to take anything away from Rift Apart, to me it is by far one of the most interesting currently revealed PS5 games, and I can't wait to hear your take on it. I can't wait to, you know what? I can't wait to hear what vibes you get off that game.
One way or another, I am reviewing that game. There is no two ways about that. But Ambisson in our chat actually makes a good point. Insomniac has always been good at getting the most, they're getting their mileage out of the hardware. And playing Going Commando recently, the second game in the series on a PS2, there are so many enemies on screen with explosions happening everywhere, particles happening, little bouncing balls, not a hint of slowdown. Granted, they're all the same looking enemies, but it's still really impressive on the PS2, and Insomniac has just been amazing at that kind of technological know-how.
Well, it's always impressive when you see that kind of stuff happen. For example, in Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, you see all the punies on the screen at once, and at various parts throughout the game. Even if they are the same model over and over again, it's such a cool effect to see that happen. And we've seen from Rift Apart that there's so much exploding on the screen at any given moment, and it's looking incredibly impressive. And and for me, my game is Horizon Forbidden West. That's the one I want to review and get the vibes off of. So excited. I've watched that trailer more times than is probably healthy at this point.
So you're going to be picking up on PS4, obviously.
Oh, obviously, clearly, yeah. No, if for whatever reason I don't have a PS5 by the time Horizon releases, which I totally will, but if I didn't, that would be the day I got a PS5. I do want to point out something that the Lewis Dragoon said a little bit earlier. Sony's first-year lineup, looking as Pigma from Star Fox would say, real good.
Got to get that Ash voice acting in there. That's amazing.
I love it. Star Fox lines are always the best.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Rob Arman X and Steve, you might be able to talk about this as well. The Series X has fast loading as well, and it's hilarious to see the Xbox skip loading screens on 360 games. Have you seen that yourself?
Yeah, the Series X is... I mean, both of these are such similar pieces of hardware, and really where they're divergent is the philosophy applied to how they're designed. But, I mean, yeah, I've played some old games, and it's just like... hey, you're right in the game. Like, I was playing Guardian Heroes Xbox 360 backwards compatibility.
Nice.
And it just loads like nothing I've ever seen before. Again, like SNES level load speed. So where I know there's load screens in games, they're just gone. And I know it's happening because it's so fast that they just don't get a chance to actually show anything. And that to me is just crazy. Like, because the load screens are still in the game. It's just they're going by you so fast you can't pick them up. So, yeah, I think it's really cool. There's something, I think, kind of the Series X has that feeling of taking all your old stuff and making it better, whereas the PS4 is introducing you to brand new things. And so depending on where you land on, either playing all your old favorite games upgraded or whether you want to play old or new stuff that just doesn't exist yet, that's really going to be a key deciding point for people on which console they pick up in, I guess a couple days.
That's the crazy thing.
I was reading about, I was either reading or maybe it was a Digital Foundry video, but The Last of Us Remastered, as we all know, takes like a minute and a half or something for that initial loading screen to actually load into the game. And apparently that's cut down by like 85% or something on PS5. Like, it's just a few seconds to load into the game, which is just crazy to me. I care about loading times, but I never thought about how excited I would be to actually hear about these short loading times, like these super short loading times, console style, on the PS5 and Xbox Series X. I think I underestimated just how excited that would make me.
Mm-hmm. I saw a strange article today where apparently The Last Guardians load times have been improved, but only on disc. Like, it's only the physical version that works. Like, digital, not so much.
I remember this. It's the 1.0 version of the PAL release, because the PAL release has like uncapped frame rates and different like loading tech used in it
was
than
the frame rate
everywhere
that
else.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it just has like this amazing frame rate, but it's only this one release. Somehow they like hard capped the frame rate
so
everywhere
weird.
So
else.
yeah, okay.
That's something I still need to go back and play, and this is actually probably the perfect chance to do it on PS5, but I never did get around to playing The Last Guardian. It's just too much to play, passed me by, but I was always curious about it. So
it's
on the
PlayStation.
Game. It's on the PlayStation Plus collection too.
Oh right,
so
it is.
If you pick up a PS5, it's free.
Yeah,
wow,
which is just nuts. What a great deal. God, that's cool.
Yeah. There is a bit of other Sony news that came out today, and that was more about the talk about sort of the development of the PS5, where they said they could have made the system even bigger, and the fact that they did consider charging more than $70 per game, which, oh God, my heart.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
it's yeah.
It's interesting. The PS5 is a really well engineered piece of hardware, but there's no denying that it's just huge. Like,
massive. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember taking it out of the box. Like, I got the review unit, and I opened the shipping box, and I looked at the actual box, and I looked at my desk, and I was like, oh shit. I'm going to need to move a lot of things to make this video. So I ended up tearing down my whole desk just to film it because I mean, my computer wouldn't fit, my keyboard, my mouse, my monitor had to come down. Like it was a real experience just trying to make room to open the box. So if it was even bigger, I don't know what people would do. Like it barely fits. Like this is the bottom of my TV. And that's the top of my PS5. They're practically touching. And yeah, I can't imagine if this thing was even a millimeter taller, I'd be going insane.
I do love the hour-long flex you've got going on, Steve, with just the PS5 casually right behind you. I do really appreciate that.
Well, this just, way is my bed, and it's covered in laundry.
Nice. Okay.
I'll let people lust over the PlayStation 5 until I clean my room.
Yeah.
No supper before you clean your room, or something like no PS5 before you clean your room. Oh boy, but yeah, it's been crazy, and yeah, I'm gonna be just blown away. Even though I've seen your version, I've seen the comparisons. I know I'm gonna be blown away by the size. But thank God Sony did not go to 70. 70 is already feeling like a really tough hit.
Yeah, that gives me that gives me some faith, because this clearly says that Sony learned from the PS3 generation, where you know, people are out there saying, "Oh, just get a second job if you want to be able to afford our console." So I'm glad that there was someone in the room that just raised their hand and was like, "Hey, this idea is terrible and you shouldn't do it." You know, it reads as a bad story because Sony wanted at some point to charge that. But I kind of take it as a positive because someone was smart enough to say people are going to get angry, and they listened. They listened, which is really the key here. Like, you know, because it seems like for the last several generations, we've had at least one crazy tone-deaf move from a platform holder, like Microsoft saying you have to be online to play Xbox One, or Sony charging you $600 for the PS3. So I'm glad that this generation we don't just have some huge gaffe from someone. Like, at least it's just an even playing field going in.
The only huge thing is the PS5.
Yep.
There is that whole thing about Nintendo making one of the most fun online multiplayer games they've ever made only available until March 31st, when they delisted.
That's
so
true.
It's definitely not a next-gen gaff, but it is a gaff. And, but, you know, that's, as you said, there's always seems like there's some sort of gaff going on, but at the same time, on where we are on the cusp of, you know, the next generation of consoles, both Microsoft and Sony have done, I would say, pretty well all around with their price points and release timing. Obviously, Sony kind of dropped the ball with pre-orders in the PS5 quite a bit, and they still are kind of struggling to catch up. But in general, I would say it's been a pretty smooth transition, even though it's weird that I don't feel like I'm even ready for it. Like, you could tell me that the PS5 and Xbox Series X weren't coming out for another 2 years, and I wouldn't feel bad about it. I'd be, you know, when I play games like The Last of Us Part 2 or whatever, and they look as good as they do, I'm not sitting there thinking, man, I really wish next gen was here. It's crazy that it's here, but it almost, I know it's time, but it also doesn't feel like it's time in a weird way, if that makes sense.
I pretty much feel the same, because I heard that, hey, the PS5 and Xbox Series X is coming out soon. I'm like, wait, what? That happened?
It's just hit us so quickly.
It caught me off, and we'll talk about this later because, of course, we will, Ash. But somebody said Melody of Memory comes out this Friday. I'm like, what? When did that happen?
I know, and I guess a bit of behind-the-scenes info. We had hoped to have a review from me ready to go on the channel by the time it came out, but no review copy. So I'm still going to review it, but I'm just going to buy it and play the hell out of it and review it that way.
That's what it's like being a fresh channel. We just get it, talk about it when it comes, and
although I haven't really heard about anybody getting review copies, to be honest. So it might be one of those things where it's just it's kind of a more niche title. I mean, it's Kingdom Hearts, of course, but it is a rhythm game.
It is.
After Kingdom Hearts 3. So it's a little bit more of a targeted release in terms of its audience.
Absolutely.
Now, before we move on from PS5, I do have a question whether any of us actually have any interest in Gran Turismo 7.
No, but you saying that makes me hurt, because while I don't have any interest in Gran Turismo 7, I still have a huge Ridge Racer shaped hole in my heart. And I want Ridge Racer 8 so badly, especially like on a 4K TV. Are you kidding me? A true next-gen Ridge Racer experience? I would die if that was announced.
Yeah.
I wish.
Yeah. I can't... I've never really been deep into Ridge Racer. I started playing Forza Horizon 4 on my Series X, and I forgot how much I just love a good racing game. Like, they really, like... they get your adrenaline going, like, in a way that I kind of forget sometimes, just because it's not the type of game I typically play. Like, I'm way more into escapism and you know, like fantasy worlds and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I guess, you know, I would definitely look at Gran Turismo if it was around the corner, but it's not like something that's on my radar that I'm following. Just, you know, I have no hype for it. Let me put it that way. I'm getting no vibes from it right now.
Yeah. The only time I had a good time with Gran Turismo was with 3, and during a vacation I brought the PS2 along. I had Gran Turismo 3, and my dad's a mechanic, and he couldn't play the game. He wasn't very good at that, and I couldn't set up the car to save my life, but he gave me his tips for how the car should be set up, and it controlled like butter. So I'm like, I don't want to play Gran Turismo unless my dad's here to give me car tips, because I don't know how to set up a car at all. You're lucky I can change the oil.
Yeah. I'm more into like arcade racers. I've never really been able to get into like driving simulators. I absolutely respect them because, you know, you're going for realism in all the different cars and how they handle. But I just love, you know, drifting around, you know, hairpin turns at 400 miles per hour with trance pumping into my ears. And I don't know, like arcade racers are actually one of my favorite genres. It's just unfortunately, there's not a whole lot going on with them right now. Although, for those of you out there who do like arcade racers, I highly recommend Hot Shot Racing. It's an indie game from Sumo Digital that came out on the Switch and I think all platforms earlier this year, a couple of months ago. And it's a really good virtual racing style. It's kind of got that early like 90s Sega aesthetic to it. Really cool game. So if you like arcade racers like I do, check it out. Nice.
Also, apparently I just impressed Amy in the chat. She says, "Wait, you can change the oil?" Yes, I need the stuff, but I can. I know how to change oil.
I know how to, but I'm like claustrophobic, like really badly claustrophobic. So I can't get underneath a car. I can't,
you need the jack. You need to get under there. You need a special weird tool to unscrew the thing. You need to have another one ready.
I'm happy to pay for the privilege.
It's a mess.
Not doing it. Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. Happy to pay for the privilege.
Last question: what the heck is Returnal? I do not remember this game at all. Returnal.
So Returnal was I can't remember who the developer is, but that was the game that we were all impressed because it features an older female protagonist, like an older woman.
Oh,
she seems to be in her 50s, maybe 40s, 50s, and she's the protagonist. And it was just really, it stood out for that reason because you don't really see a lot of older women protagonists.
I forgot the title, but that sounds
AAA games.
Okay, now I'm excited. Yeah, definitely more excited for that than Gran Turismo 7.
Yeah, same.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our next news topic, which is Mass Effect: The Legendary Edition has been revealed and is releasing in spring of 2021 for the PS4 and Xbox One with forward compatibility and enhancements for the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Plus, there's a new Mass Effect game also in the works. Now, this didn't come out today, but it did come out over the weekend. And I've only ever played Mass Effect 1 and 2.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you have played the best one, Derek, so at least you have played Mass Effect 2. But I think Mass Effect 3, despite the ending nonsense, is still quite good. I really enjoyed my time in all three games, and I hope that I have time to revisit all three of these games in the next-gen version. Just because I spent like 180 hours in this universe across all three games, and I loved it. And it's not even like normally my kind of game. You guys know I'm not really into like third-person shooters necessarily, but this game, the universe that Mass Effect builds, and the different races and it's just such a well realized, lived-in universe, and I love this series, and it's obviously one of the worst kept secrets in gaming right now. Everybody knew this was coming, but it's just so nice to have it officially confirmed, and if I can, I am going to revisit the hell out of these games. I'm so excited.
You'll be upset at me, Ash, because I played Mass Effect 2, did not finish Mass Effect 2.
Hey, you know what? There's so much out there to play, man. I can't even blame you for that.
Yeah. No, I remember playing the original one, the original Mass Effect, and being like reading through the data logs, and it really did feel like Knights of the Old Republic at the time, just because of all the data logs. It's like, we wanted to make our own Star Wars type thing, and it does pull you into that world. And I don't know if I'd have the time to play it, but I like the idea of it. A new Mass Effect game, we're going to have to actually see stuff from that because I have not heard anything good about Andromeda.
Yeah. I'm curious about where that's going. I can't imagine they're going to do Andromeda 2. Like, it's going to have to be something new, and I don't feel like they're going to undermine the trilogy by making Mass Effect 4, so I'm wondering if it's going to be another new offshoot, like a new, like a new start of a new series that isn't Andromeda. But Steve, what about you? Have you played a lot of Mass Effect?
No. So okay. I tried. I own all 3 Mass Effects. I think I have Mass Effect even on the Wii U. Didn't one of them come out on the Wii U? Was it
yes,
2?
Yes, Mass Effect 3 came out on the Wii U at launch.
So yeah, I own that. I bought Mass Effect 1 and 2. So I tried to start 3 like when the Wii U was a thing. And I was like, man, I feel like I've really missed the boat on this. I need to go back and play 1 and 2 before I try this. And I bought 1 and 2 and I booted them up on PC and I was like, man, these look dated. So then I got into modding it and then I like modded it to where I wanted it. I had female shepherd. I was like getting started, and then something else came out, and I just moved away from it. So I mean, I liked the mechanics and the universe enough to want to check these remasters out, but yeah, just it was one of those things where the age of this game passed me by, and it was
sure.
You guys know how it is. Like, there's always something right around the corner that you either want to play or have to play, and then you kind of just forget. And after a while, there's just this looming backlog of games you swore you'd finish. I still, look at Yakuza 0 in my list of PlayStation games, and I'm like, I know I'm 90% done with you. Maybe someday, but not today.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those that I absolutely want to try, but I have zero experience with it.
Yeah. Dukamon says, current Bioware might be messed up, but there's no way they can actively ruin a straight port, right?
Hopefully, right?
Hopefully not.
I'm really curious to see what they do with Mass Effect 1, because that's the game that most people seem to agree has aged the worst in terms of gameplay. And it definitely sticks out like a sore thumb. So I'm very curious to see how they're going to streamline that, because they've been talking about how they're trying to streamline the entire trilogy to make it a more palatable experience in 2021. So I'm very curious to see what they're going to do there. And Steve, it sounds like you might be the best candidate to review Legendary Edition if you have so little experience with it. You can go
just play three games that equal 180 hours according to Ash.
No biggie.
Simple.
No biggie, man. You got this.
There's 3 of us and there's 3 games. That's all I'm gonna say.
Good point. I like that. We could do it like a trio review.
I feel like this isn't the type of game you can easily split up like that.
No, it's not, because 2 and 3 kind of continue on from the choices you made in 1 and 2. So yeah.
Sure.
Well, speaking of troubled games, Square Enix's latest financial report has suggested that Marvel's Avengers has kind of underperformed compared to expectations, and it doesn't really feel like a surprise.
Yeah.
I hear it's maybe getting better, but nothing about it seems to have clicked with anybody. I've not really looked at it, but apparently they're trying the whole Destiny aspect with it, and it just didn't go well.
Yeah, so Ash and I both got copies of this, and I was kind of excited to just give it a fair shake, try it out, and build a video around it. But once I got to playing it, I was like, this is the hardest game to get into. And I love Marvel characters.
Weirdly.
I am a huge Marvel fan. Iron Man is my jam, and I could not connect with anybody in this. It just felt like such a lifeless imitation of Destiny, and I was not at all invested in furthering the story of it. I played through the whole campaign, and I was like, great, this is where the real game starts, and multiplayer just did not entertain me, not even a little.
Same. It's a shame too, because I actually did. I haven't finished the campaign, but I did enjoy the story, or I have enjoyed it so far, and I love that it's headlined by Kamala Khan. I think that's super cool that you got a woman of color in the the headline role of a AAA title in 2020. I think that's awesome. But as much as I enjoyed the story and the basic gameplay, it just felt so sterile. It felt so just the focus on loot and it just didn't do it for me.
And
it did not. Yeah,
the loot just didn't even make sense. Like, it
didn't.
If you're playing as the Hulk, you can equip new rib cages. Like, I mean, you just, hey, I found a new rib cage on the ground. Gonna rip myself apart and put this one in. Like, what the hell? At least give him a shirt, like anything.
And I also just felt like even the interface, like the menu interface, I felt was incredibly non-user friendly. Like it was confusing. It was hard to at least for me to tell what your cursor was actually on at any given moment. Equipping new gear wasn't clear. It just didn't. I don't know. Something happened with that game during development that just went off the rails, and it's a shame because it's got the core pieces of a good game. It's not terrible by any means, but it's so bogged down by unnecessary things, and it's mainly the loot stuff and the focus on online multiplayer, and it's a shame.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to botch one of the biggest properties out there right now, and this is a botch. I've been looking through the article a bit more, and the publisher, like when Final Fantasy VII Remake released, Square Enix reported net sales of $330.1 million and an income of around $96.8 million. So they made almost $97 million in that first half of the fiscal year. But when Marvel's Avengers released for the second half, the game division saw net sales of only $224.4 million and a loss of more than $48.4 million in operating income. So it's a good thing Final Fantasy VII Remake did so well because it kind of tanked. And apparently, they didn't release actual numbers, but the volumes were only 60% of the planned sales. So yeah, not great for them.
And I mean, and not only that, but Avengers' next gen release was just delayed to 2021, and the first DLC, which is Kate Bishop, was also moved to an unknown date. So I think it seems like they're in this kind of turmoil, like hell, part of post development, where they're spending more time fixing the game's current issues than actually making progress on their post development timeline with DLC and the next gen stuff. So. It's really, it seems like it's like one step forward, but like 3 steps back right now. And I hope they can pull it out, because I think there is a skeleton of a good game there. But right now, it's really not living up to anywhere close to its potential.
Yeah. I'm seeing people in the chat, like Meowsticks, they lost all their profit from it. They didn't lose the profit they got from, all of the profit they got from Final Fantasy VII Remake. They lost half the profit they got from Final Fantasy VII Remake. Whoa. So it wasn't that bad, as bad as that seemed, but it's still not great.
Yeah.
So let's get, hey, maybe that'll encourage them to get Remake Part 2 out quicker.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, here's hoping, man. Oh, I hope so.
Oh, with those load times and all that, I will totally buy a port of 7 Remake on PS5.
I will be happy to replay FF7 Remake Part 1 if and when the next gen version comes. I mean, obviously they haven't announced anything, but it's coming. It's going to happen.
It has to.
Hopefully with extra story content or something, like an extra little digest at the end, Kingdom Hearts style.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
But yeah, we have a bit more Square Enix news. Some of it a bit better, a bit more exciting, because Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memories complete song list has been revealed, and this is credit goes to Rosetta member Chaser Joey. And Ash, I'm going to let you cover this one because you know the song lineup, and you probably memorize the list. Let's be honest.
Oh, I can't say I've memorized a whole list of 130 songs, but my God, you guys, if you out there are fans of Kingdom Hearts music, this is the most exhaustive song list. I mean, I'm sure there's some really good stuff that's missing. I haven't had a chance to really go through it song by song, but I mean, you've got over 130 songs here. You've got, of course, the big ones from Kingdom Hearts 1, like, Night of Fate, Simple and Clean, Dive into the Heart, Hand in Hand. We've got One Winged Angel from Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, so we got the Kingdom Hearts version of that song. Mm-hmm. Lord of the Castle and Chain of Memories, the battle theme for Marluxia. You got a bunch of stuff from Kingdom Hearts 2, Sanctuary opening version, Roxas's theme, of course. 13th Dilemma, Darkness of the Unknown. There's so much here. I'm surprised that I'm not seeing Battle to the Death, I think it's called. It's the first final battle theme in Kingdom Hearts 2, and I'm hoping maybe it's unlockable or something, but I am surprised that it's not there.
Maybe.
Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, you got like Rage Awakened and Fate of the Unknown. Of course, Derek, I know you're going to appreciate this. Vector to the Heavens from 358 over 2 days.
That's
ton
really
of
good.
stuff, of course. It's one of the best when you're fighting Shion.
Yeah.
And
real quick,
Birth by Sleep, a bunch of... Oh, go for it.
I was going through the list, and I'm actually really surprised by this. I guess if song lists are spoilers, I'm not sure they are, but I'm actually really surprised that they have Circle of Life, Whole New World, and Beauty and the Beast in here as well.
Wow.
Because those are not in the game. Only Let It Go and a couple songs from Little Mermaid were ever in Kingdom Hearts itself.
Right.
So...
And they have the most important song in the entire song list. Thank God for this confirmation. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo from Birth by Sleep, anybody?
Hey, I'm down.
Hell yes. I know.
I'm down.
Right?
Hey, that's
the
episode that that's the world that your dad was in.
That's true. That's a good point. He was what? Prince Eric? Was that?
No, he's not Prince Eric. He's the guy with the
Eric.
monocle that
helps
out.
Yeah.
Oh man, I know who you're talking about, but I don't know his name either.
He's the one that puts on the
neither.
slipper.
Yeah, what's his name? The Duke? Is it the Duke?
Maybe it's the Duke.
Maybe?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Either way.
Sorry guys, I'm a terrible son.
Yeah, we know.
you've got the only two songs probably worth highlighting and Recoded are both in this. Wonder of Electron and No More Bugs. Of course, Dream Drop Distance. You've got Calling, thankfully. The trance theme, the trance version of Traverse Town. You've got the Calling from The World Ends With You. You got the one single song from Kingdom Hearts 0.2, Birth by Sleep. And then we've got some Kingdom Hearts 3 songs, but I have to say I'm a little disappointed at how few Kingdom Hearts 3 songs there are.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like 8, actually. Fortunately, Don't Think Twice is one of them. Thank God, because I love that song.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, it's so good. But I'm a little surprised that there isn't more from Kingdom Hearts 3. So I'm crossing my fingers for some unlockables, and maybe this isn't the full song list, but it seems like it is. So... there's also some cool miscellaneous stuff here. You got something Distati from the Kingdom Hearts Orchestra World Tour album, some piano collection songs, and so this is a hugely exhaustive song list, you guys.
Oh yeah.
So if you're a Yoko Shimomura fan like I am, and I know Derek is, we're in for a really good time with this game, and I can't wait to just dig into this game.
I mean, I was just about to bring up Evernight Studios' comment, Melody of Memories, a.k.a. Yoko Shimomura Appreciation Hours.
Exactly. It's essentially Theater Rhythm Yoko Shimomura, although for that we would need Parasite Eve and Legend of Mana and Front Mission and stuff like that as well. But I just hope that it does well, because I want to get, even though this isn't quite... From the demo, at least, it isn't quite the next theater rhythm that it seemed to be. It's still really fun, and I want to see Square continue to release these kinds of games. Mm-hmm. I'm still crossing my fingers for a Switch port of Curtain Call. I would be happy to buy all the DLC.
I would like they made a theater rhythm Dragon Quest that they never brought over. I feel like that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I would have loved to see that, although I don't think it would have had nearly as big an audience here. And unfortunately, the composer is a scumbag, so there is that too.
There is that aspect, but...
Yikes.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
What you going to do?
Gerber, 1218, didn't Theater Rhythm Curtain Call have like 100 DLC songs? Yes, and Ash bought them all.
I bought every single one, and I would buy every single one again in a second for a console port of Theater Rhythm Curtain Call. I don't even care that I spent $100 on that DLC. Don't even care. I got so much use out of it.
Oh, sorry. Ambison mentioned that, do remember that there are other Kingdom Hearts composers, Takaharu Ishimoto and Tsuyoshi Sakito, who worked on Birth by Sleep, Dream Drop Distance, and KH3. So
Right.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, I'm sorry for the lighting on my end. I'm having to be in a separate room for my wife because she's doing her own meeting. So we're still getting our office set up, but it's not always going to be this dark on my end. So please bear with me. I know I'm a little dark over here.
How ironic that darkness overtakes Ash when we talk about Kingdom Hearts.
I know, right?
Oh boy. I think you're not much of a Kingdom Hearts fan, Steve, so I'm guessing this does nothing for you.
Oh, yeah, I've just been sitting here like, Keyblades are pretty dope. I like those. I played Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and I absolutely loved them. Something about 3 didn't work for me. I got it. I have it on Xbox. I've played like maybe 5-6 hours of it, and it just never clicked all the way. But this was well before I met my fiance, who was like a hyper Disney fan. Like she is, I mean, like since this pandemic started, like every couple of months she's like, we need to go to Disneyland. Let's see if they're open. And I'm like, they're not open yet. It's in California. Like, they're definitely not open. And sure enough, we checked like 3 weeks ago because I was like, I want to go too. But I think that her love of Disney might be the motivation I need to just go through the game, because I feel like it's a game where if I sit down and I really just approach it with a completely open mind, I will love it. But I just, like, every little quirk, I'm like, man, this plays like a PS2 game. And that's kind of the point. But I'm just like, games have advanced so much, and I have so many other options that I'm like, screw it. I'll go play some Spider-Man or something with more instant gratification. So I'd love to sit down and play through it, because like I said, 1 and 2 were my jam. Like on the PS2 back in the day when this design was in vogue, I really loved those games, and I loved the storytelling, and I'm sure that's still great. I remember Derek's review was just glowing. So
hey, I stand by that. I know people have problems with Kingdom Hearts 3, but it sucked me in. Like, I do not go out of my way to platinum games, and I was all about that platinum in KH3 and totally sucked in. Even beat all the super hard bosses in the DLC. Did not beat the super boss in the DLC because screw that. But I was down. I just really enjoyed it. I still think Birth by Sleep is my favorite of the series, though. Birth by Sleep is just...
It might be mine, too.
Amazing.
I have to say. And I enjoyed Kingdom Hearts 3, definitely, but I definitely came down to the side of being slightly disappointed by it. I'm still glad I played it. Part of that has to do with an element of the ending that just pissed me off to no end.
They kind of fixed it in the DLC, if you played that yet.
Kind of, yeah. And on that note, Derek, I still, to this day, get requests from fans for us to do a Kingdom Hearts 3.
We might have to just pull that trigger.
So now we just got to do it. We got to do it now,
I was about to say, I feel the energy for this to become a discussion video radiating from the audience. I think this should be something that goes on our Patreon. If you want to see Derek and Ash battle out their opinions over Kingdom Hearts 3, join us on patreon.com/GVGaming.
Way to plug. Oh, God.
Nice plug.
God.
Always be working, gentlemen.
Make that a stretch goal.
Steven Turquoise asks, Ash, did you ever play the Theater Rhythm game in the arcade? I like that one. So, yes, I actually played it while I was in Japan for my last trip there. It's called All-Star Carnival, and it's a lot of fun. I would love to see them port that to Switch as well if they could. So who knows? But it's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, there is one other Square Enix game coming out soon that I'm pretty sure you're still excited for, Ash, as they've revealed more information about Bravely Default 2's characters, jobs, world, and more. And I haven't actually had a chance to look at this, so enlighten me.
Well, we've got the 4 main characters here, Bravely Default 2, who are Seth, the protagonist, Gloria, the princess of Musa, a country that washed over the peace of the world by way of the crystals, Elvis, a scholar who travels the world, and Adele, a mercenary for hire who is traveling with Elvis. And so these are our 4 new characters in Bravely Default 2. I will say that I'm a little bit mixed on them so far, and I think that's just because Bravely Second's cast was so charming. And it's just, they were such memorable characters to me. And same thing with Bravely Default 1. Like, as I think you and I have kind of mentioned before, Derek, talking about this, something about Bravely Default 2 so far feels a bit off to me. I am excited about it, and as we learn more about the world, I'm still very excited. But it's not just utterly grabbing me the way Bravely Default and especially Second did. Some of you will know that Second was my game of the year for 2016. I just loved it. And so far, I'm just not quite sure yet.
The problem is, in my opinion, is that the graphical style works because that is the Bravely Default art style. I think they needed to go a bit more cartoonish as far as graphics, like give that cel-shaded look, because it does look like just a high-end 3DS game, and that style works so well on the 3DS. But when you get into HD on the Switch, it just doesn't hold up as much. And I don't think it comes across, even though it definitely isn't, it kind of feels cheap. And we're also getting rid of, I think, some of the aspects that you really like, where you can set the encounter rates and stuff like that. And there are a lot of, like, I was really impressed with that trailer they put out where they listed all the things they've fixed since the demo, which it did need. And I'm very glad for that. I'm still excited for Bravely Default 2, but I think they needed a more cel-shaded style because the towns still look gorgeous. Like, those impress like crazy.
Beautiful.
But the overworld, the characters, the monsters, they're fine. Like, it wouldn't stop me from enjoying them, but it's just, yeah.
I don't even know if it's the visual quality of the graphics that does it for me. I actually think it's a pretty good looking game. It's more that I just, again, I don't know a lot about them yet, so it's not a fair criticism to make at this point, but the characters themselves and their personalities just aren't grabbing me the way the previous games have so far. And same thing with like the voice acting. I was kind of surprised by how low rent some of the voice acting sounded in the latest in the trailer they revealed as part of the recent Nintendo Direct Developer Showcase. It just feels a bit lower budget all around, and I guess that plays into what you were saying too, Derek, about how it doesn't quite look as visually spectacular as it did on the 3DS. Yeah. So there's just something about it that's giving me a slightly lower budget vibe about it, and that can be okay. It's just not what I was expecting necessarily, and I do really miss the fact that they're no longer random encounters, and you can't set the encounter rate. Thankfully, you can outrun enemies now, so you can avoid combat when you want. I just love that you had complete control over the experience in Bravely Second and Default, where you could, speed up battles and chain encounters, and and level up super quickly and turn off encounters, and it just seems like a step back in that sense. But it's not out yet. It's not fair to pass judgment, so we'll see. We'll see how the game is vibing with me when it comes out.
Yeah, I'm guessing this is also not a series that you're interested in, Steve.
I picked up the demo for Bravely Default 2, and I liked Bravely Default 1 on the 3DS. Like, I was actually, like, into it. And I will be the first to admit I never finished it, just because big RPGs are really hard to get through. Like, it has to be something truly special for me to sit down and carve out that large of a chunk of time. But I got a good portion into Bravely Default, and I really was enjoying it. I think the storytelling was great. Aesthetically, it was pleasing. Characters were great. And so I went into the Bravely Default 2 demo pretty hyped. Like, I was excited to try it, because I was like, man, this is, everything I would want from a Bravely Default successor. Like, I can play it on my TV. I've got it on the Switch, which for me is the ideal console for a follow-up to a mobile RPG. And it just didn't click. It didn't click for me at all. I watched the first few cutscenes. Like Ash, I agree that the voice acting was just not great. It didn't grab me. The performances didn't really stir anything in me. And I just fell off. I fell off really quick. I was just like, wow, this is not at all compelling to me. I don't know. I couldn't quite articulate it, and I still can't fully articulate why it didn't work, but it just didn't work. And I ended up just closing the demo and never looking back.
Yeah.
I think they really need to release a new demo. I think once they've implemented some more of these fixes they were talking about, they need a new demo to kind of get people rehyped for the final release that showcases a lot of what they've changed.
Azran says that they believe that setting the demo to a higher default difficulty was a huge misstep.
Definitely.
They got a lot of complaints about that. So I was shocked. I was shocked how tough that demo was.
Me too. But it was a weird difficulty curve too, because once you reach a certain point, it got super easy. But getting there was a really tough uphill battle, kind of like Breath of the Wild, where like at the beginning it can be super tough if depending on where you go. But once you reach a certain point, that difficulty curve just slides precipitously down, and it almost becomes brain dead easy. But I'm still sitting over here hoping that they're going to do Bravely Third one day. Bravely Second did end on an incredible cliffhanger. I love that story and those characters so much, and I really hope they do a proper Bravely Third someday. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, let's wake Steve up, because there's a bit of news here that we don't have on our list that I did want to bring special mention to, because it's Sam & Max Save the World Enhanced Edition, I believe it is. And I saw you getting really excited for that, Steve. And I've never played a Sam & Max game, but I watched the hell out of the Sam & Max TV show, cartoon, back on Fox Kids when I was younger. Thought they were friggin' hilarious. So seeing this remake of the Telltale games and having a new team behind it, upping it, have new music behind it. I'm like, you know what? I might pick that up. That looks pretty interesting, and it's coming out in December. It's not too far off. It's only like a month away, so I don't know. I'm pretty excited. Do you guys, Steve? I'm assuming you have familiarity with Sam and Max.
I've checked it out. I haven't played a ton of it, but I was really into the whole point and click adventure kind of thing when I was younger. I mean, my dad bought a lot of like Sierra games for PC way back in the day. And if you don't know, like King's Quest is like a very old school but very popular like point and click series, right? But I didn't get into Sam and Max until, and this is going to just date how old I am, but when Strong Bad's Cool Game for Awesome People came out for the Wii.
I remember
and
that.
I was like, what else did these guys make? Like, because I love Homestar Runner. It's just, kitschy, funny, like goofy humor. And I found out that the same developer made Sam and Max. And so I ended up downloading it on I want to say they also had a Sam and Max game on the Wii.
I think so.
And they're just so full of personality. Like, I love the characters themselves, and I don't know what exactly we're getting with this new game, but I am hyped to check it out. Like, I love games that make me laugh. Like, if a game can make me laugh, that's such a rare quality, and I will pick up just about any funny game I can find. So I'm really excited to see this, and I hope that they bring, like, Sam & Max's trademark humor to it, because that would be something that would just really cap off the year in a real nice way. A really bad year. I'm trying not to. A really bad year with just a really fun, lighthearted experience would be really nice.
Mm-hmm. And from the trailer, I thought the humor was on point. Like, I was like, oh right, I forgot I chewed off the brake lines and stuff like that. Just the insanity of Max just always kills me.
Yeah, for
sure. I wish I could say more. I have very little reference point for Sam and Max. I've heard of it, of course, and I generally know of it, but I never really followed it. So it seems like people are excited for this, though. So I hope it turns out to be what people want out of it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Fingers crossed. But moving on, Steve, you've played Mortal Kombat 11. It looks like cross-platform play might be coming to Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, but it's unclear exactly when, and the game launches on the 17th. So I don't play a ton of fighting games, but I get the feeling that cross-platform play does not happen a lot.
Yeah, cross-platform play in fighting games is super rare. So it's really interesting to see. I mean, like Street Fighter V has PC and PlayStation cross-platform, but that's really the only prominent example I can think of. And
I don't think Tekken
of,
7 does. I could be wrong.
I could be wrong on that too. I have Tekken 7, but I don't play online a bunch because I suck at Tekken. So I like to think that I'm halfway decent at Street Fighter and okay at Mortal Kombat. Mm-hmm. Mortal Kombat 11 is like one of my favorite games to trot out when my best friend comes over. We'll have some drinks, and because it's like fighting games are just getting wild now. Like, I don't know if you guys have kept up with Mortal Kombat 11, but friggin' RoboCop is in it.
I did see that.
And when you do his friendship, he does the robot, which is like the best.
So good.
It's objectively the best thing. Or like Raiden brings out his kid, and it says like Kid Thunder, and it's a reference to his old Mortal Kombat 2 friendship. But it's like they decided when Mortal Kombat 11 came out, they're like, oh, this is going to be serious. And then at some point, Ed Boon or somebody was just like, you know what, screw it. Like, just, yeah, sure.
Let's
Terminator, yeah, let's put him in. Let's
Rambo
put in RoboCop too.
Yeah, Rambo voiced by Sylvester Stallone. He recorded new lines for that. That's
so random.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That is, like, I love the fact that he's just leaning into the fact that NetherRealm was bought by Warner Brothers. He's like, we're part of the Warner Brothers family now, so we're just going to get stupid with this. Like, we're going to take all your characters and put them in this game.
You get the feeling that NetherRealm really wants to make an 80s icon fighting game because they've had Jason, they've had Freddy, they've had RoboCop, Predator and
Predator, yeah.
Didn't they have Alien, or am I the Xenomorph?
I think so. I think you were able to do a Xenomorph. Yeah. Like, that was in Mortal Kombat 10. Yeah, I think you were able to do Xenomorph versus Predator in the game. Like, I feel like he just looks around and finds action figures in the office, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to put this in Mortal Kombat now.
Mm-hmm. I honestly
I know
think
it's not quite
horror-based fighting game from NetherRealm would be really cool.
I
almost
could
like
see it happening too.
the answer to Capcom's Darkstalkers that they've done nothing with.
Oh man,
Right.
and the thing that hurt so bad about Darkstalkers was Yoshinori Ono teased it for years,
I
like he was
know,
going to
I
do
remember.
it, and now he's not at Capcom, so it's definitely not happening. I guess
Yeah.
that was like a bridge too far or something, because I mean, this is the man that revived Street Fighter, like he brought it back from the grave, and if they would let him do that, and Street Fighter 4 was insanely successful by any metric. So the fact that they were like, oh yeah, okay, I mean, you resuscitated one of our longest dormant franchises, but we're not going to let you do Darkstalkers, just seemed really weird.
You remember a
Yeah.
long time ago, I don't know if it was around the same time as the Street Fighter 4 thing. Street Fighter 4 lasted forever, so I imagine it did come out around the same time. But they did release a Darkstalkers collection that apparently probably nobody paid attention to.
Yeah, because they were
Like
they were talking
Resurrection.
about how if enough people bought it, that it was the beginning of a Darkstalkers revival, and maybe enough people didn't buy it. I don't know, but Capcom has a pretty bad track record with this because Ono promised, or not promised, but teased a new Darkstalkers game before leaving, just like Inafune teased, or actually officially started development on Mega Man Legends 3 before he departed. So Capcom has a problem with this, and it's a shame. Personally, as much as I love Darkstalkers, the series I want to see have a resurgence is Rival Schools.
Oh, yeah.
I adore
Yes.
Rival Schools, and especially Project Justice. And having Akira from Rival Schools as one of the next Street Fighter V DLC characters is so cool. That was such a neat surprise. And even if all we ever get is an HD collection, I still want one. Those games are just nuts. They're so weird and so hyper anime. I love those games so much.
Yeah, and so to bring this back to Mortal Kombat and crossplay, like fighting games of all things should be like the one genre that has crossplay, because like the whole point of a fighting game is to find the best challenger and beat them, or get beat by them, and it's like limiting yourself to just PlayStation or Xbox or Switch or PC or whatever you're on obviously limits that available talent pool. I would love to see one-on-one fighting games, having crossplay become the norm, because I don't want to have to pick up whatever version someone has on some other platform just to test my skill against them. I want to know that everyone in the world that has this game can compete against me no matter what they've got. So, I mean, Mortal Kombat 11 is on everything. It's on PS4, Xbox, Switch, like somehow.
That's true.
So, PC. So you could, in theory, if they enabled this, you could play someone that's playing in handheld mode on their Switch while you're playing on your 4K TV and talk smack. That would be a lot of fun. I'd love to be able to throw down. I hope it happens. I doubt it will.
Yeah.
Me too.
Unfortunately.
Me too.
But, the last bit of news we have tonight is Nintendo has confirmed that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has surpassed 2 million units in sales, which, for a niche RPG like Xenoblade, holy crap. That is insane. Like,
The waifu love is strong.
Yeah, exactly. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a fantastic game. If it wasn't for Dragon Quest XI XC2 might be my favorite game on this system, especially after playing Torna. It's just such a complete package, and the storytelling of the Xenoblade games are so tightly written, especially upon replay. The non-paid gacha element of 2 is probably its weakest stature, but you can still have fun. You can still get through the game with all the blades that you get. It's just if you're going for 100% and trying to see all the blades, then it gets a little unfortunate.
Grindy.
Yeah, grindy. Like
Just a bit grindy.
I opened so many cores trying to get Cosmos, and I never got her.
I know.
Same.
I never got Cosmos either.
Killed me. And then I talked to some people that got as early as like the 3rd Titan. I'm like, screw you.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
I wrote IGN's guide for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 over a Christmas break, and they sent me a code, and they're like, I mean, first off, I knew it was an assignment from hell, because they offered me triple my normal fee for the guide.
No.
They're like, hey, do you want to not sleep for a while and work until your hands are stumps? We're gonna, they paid me as much for Xenoblade as they would for 3 normal guides, and I was like, that means I'm going to do a lot. And they were like, you know what, take 2 copies of the game and get some help. And so they set me up
reminds
as
me of
best they
Pokemon
could.
coverage when I had to get all that stuff. Oh God,
it was tough. It was really tough, but
I bet
I
it was.
do think that game is amazing. Like it is such a good game. I will be the first to admit I hate the English voice acting. I had to switch to Japanese right away.
Oh, really?
I think
they
it's
do
just
get
like,
better because when we had that opportunity to interview the voice actress for Pyra, she did say that they just started at the beginning of the script and worked to the end of the script. So by the end, they're all excellent.
So I will be the first to admit. Obviously, I didn't listen through the whole game that way. I think the voice actor for Rex was my main problem. Like when I saw like that opening scene where he's fighting, before he gets his blade, and just the flat delivery of his screams. And grunts,
that's
and
the part
like,
that killed Rex for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but there's that one scene toward the beginning where they reused the same scream from.
Oh,
Rex,
you're right.
Like,
yeah,
a
they
minute
did
away
use it
from
twice.
Each other, and it was so awkward.
And
Yeah.
then there's
Yeah.
That game, like the voice acting in English just got on my nerves so much. But once I switched to Japanese, I was like, man, this is fantastic. But I remember, what was the super reused lines from the soldiers that you would fight?
Don't
Think
forget
you can handle me. Don't forget me.
Yeah,
like Shrek.
they
or
patched
something.
that out. They actually patched that out, which is a shame.
Oh, nice.
Did they really? That's
Think
funny.
you can take me. Don't forget me. There you go.
Yeah,
That's it.
think
Back
you
and
can
forth.
take me. Don't forget.
Oh, I was
me.
dying.
Yeah.
And I remember
that.
like my friend, so the way it worked when I was working on the guide, I was living with a friend at the time, and I was in my room playing Xenoblade, and he was in his room playing Xenoblade, and one of us would shout like down the hall, "Think you could take me?" And the other dude would be like, "Don't forget me!" Like it became like a shorthand for just communication in our house. And
Nice.
I mean, that being said, cheesy dialogue or flat delivery, the game itself is just awesome.
Oh,
and
by the time
I
you get to
consider
like
it
the
to be one of
final
essential
5
RPGs.
chapters, it's unreal.
I'm unfortunately going to be the lone voice of dissent here. I think it's a good game, but I kind of bounced off it compared to Xenoblade 1, which I love more than ever in Definitive Edition. But I, across the board, personally prefer Xenoblade 1 over Xenoblade 2, just across the board.
Did you beat it, Ash, or not?
Xenoblade 2?
Yeah.
I got to the very end, and I still haven't actually finished. I'm literally at the end of the final chapter, and I just got to go and finish it. But I will tell you though, the only reason I even got there was because I bought the DLC just to be able to slide the custom difficulty all the way down, like enemy HP all the way down to the minimum, because I just did not enjoy that battle system. I
gotta say, just to plug another channel, Chugga Conroy is in the middle of playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for his channel, and he is always so thorough, but my god, the amount of effort he puts into Xenoblade playthroughs. I like he'll be the first to admit that tutorials in Xenoblade 2 are not that great, but he explains it so well. Like, if you have any interest in Xenoblade 2, watch a couple episodes of Chugga's playthrough. You will get into it and you will enjoy it.
Nice.
He really does a great job. He even goes into how the whole gacha system works, like the rates and how there's like a pity system. It's really impressive. So
interesting.
Good on him. I mean, he went to the same level of detail for the original Xenoblade. So he and speaking of Chugga, we got the early copies at the same time. So it was really nice being able to, like, oh my god, did you see this? And bounce off. Like, those moments were so fun and so memorable because, like Steve, I was up to the nth hour just trying to get through it. And, if we ever get a Xenoblade 3, I'll definitely, time for another half-hour review.
Yeah. Really quick before we move on to the end, I want to highlight something Octopuppet said a little while ago in the chat. We've got some news coming in during the show. Smash Update 9.0.2 is coming soon. So it's probably just, it's a minor patch adding, probably fixing some stuff with Steve and such. But
hey, I'm fine.
It's coming soon. That's true, right? Yeah, you're fine. But yeah, so I'm actually trying to look it up right now to see if what it says it's going to do, but
maybe we'll get all small stages like we got. Didn't we get small battlefield or something like that?
Yeah, so the one time we got was 8.1, I think. We got a new stage in small battlefield and also the ability to choose any music track you want for Final Destination and all the battlefields. So that was a really cool surprise, getting a new stage. But that's the only time that's happened, so I wouldn't necessarily expect it, but you never know. Yeah. But usually when the version number is, it's like 9.0.2, that's a super incremental update that's probably just bug fixes and, little nips and tucks here and there. If it was like 9.1, then I would maybe expect something a little bigger.
Mm-hmm. I will say, we're never going to get it, and I don't want to push that extra work onto Sakurai, but part of me is sort of sad that we never got like a Echo pack. Just obvious echoes that we didn't get, like Miss Pac-Man and Shadow and stuff like that. Just to
Echo pack, and I still would pay whatever they asked for music DLC. But standalone music DLC. Whatever they wanted to tell me how much to pay, I'll pay it. Doesn't matter. I'm such a sucker.
Nice.
Oh wait, no, Straw Hat Ninja and Evernight Studio are saying they're going to peach Steve's meat back in. Let's hope. Let's hope they do. That would, that would be the
best thing for a fun video.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, but I think that pretty much covers it for all of our news topics from today. A lot of interesting things, good news, bad news, new games, and a lot of stuff coming up. So it's all exciting. And with that, we have covered all of the major headlines from today's news. But before we sign off, we have to give a special thanks to all of our patrons at the producer tier for helping us make this happen. And in addition, a massive thanks to our executive producer patrons. And those include Rosa Bowling, Benny Yao, Kieran Phillips, Diogo Rocha Pereira, Dukamon, OnStar, The D-Pad, Christopher Baque, Floating Mew, HMS May Cry, Adam O'Sullivan, Zipati, Rob Lawler, and Game Explain. And you too can become a patron over at patreon.com/GVGaming, where you can watch today's news tonight for as little as $5 a month live with all of us, just like we had, holy crap, we had like 60, 80 people during this. It was amazing. So thank you to all the patrons in the chat right now watching this. It truly means the world to us. And just thank you all so much for watching. And if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Good Vibes Gaming for more good times like these. So until next time, spread those good vibes and see you then. Bye.
See you next time, guys.